Hi, my friends. Today I want to present you a new story. Enjoy watching it. I never hesitated when my parents' cafe shut down. It wasn't even a discussion. I simply wired them $4,000 that first month, knowing they had bills to pay, debts to settle. We'll get back on our feet soon. Dad had promised over the phone. Mom had sniffled, her voice thick with gratitude. You're a blessing, Nathan. Just until we figure things out. I sent them $4,000 each month. The first few months, they were thankful. Every call was filled with appreciation, my mother constantly telling me how much I was helping. We don't know what we'd do without you, she would say. It made me feel good, knowing I was making a difference. But months turned into a year, then two, and the gratitude faded. At first, it was subtle, messages that no longer thanked me, only stated what they needed. Then, it became routine. Rent is due. We're a little short this month. Can you send extra for groceries? They stopped asking. It was just expected. I tried not to think much of it. They were struggling. Meanwhile, I tightened my own budget, canceled weekend getaways, delayed upgrading my aging car, even skipped a job offer that required relocation because I knew they relied on me. It was my duty to help, right? Then I started noticing things. On a rare visit home, I saw my father scrolling through car listings, luxury models far beyond anything I would ever consider buying for myself. My mother had new clothes, expensive ones, the kind she used to admire but never purchase. The fridge was stocked with premium brands, wines, imported cheeses. And yet, every time we spoke, they were struggling. One night, I called my dad, needing answers. I've been helping for 2 years. I thought you'd be rebuilding by now. Dad sighed, Nathan, things take time. The economy's terrible. You wouldn't understand. But I do understand, I pressed. And I just need to know, are you two even trying to get back on your feet? There was a pause, then a scoff. Are you questioning us now? I'm just asking. Well, maybe you should stop asking and start being grateful. His voice hardened. Do you know how much we sacrificed for you? The years of hard work? You wouldn't be where you are without us. I never said. You make 6 figures, he interrupted. $4,000 a month is nothing to you. And yet, here you are, making it sound like we're some kind of burden. A lump formed in my throat. That was exactly how I felt, but hearing it from him made it worse. Nathan, he continued, voice calm now, almost patronizing. We're family. Families help each other. You wouldn't turn your back on us, would you? I exhaled slowly. Logic told me I'd done enough, but guilt had a louder voice. So I sighed and said, yeah, Dad, I'll send it. And I did. Again, I pulled into my parents' driveway, gripping the steering wheel for a moment before stepping out. The house looked the same, warm lights spilling from the windows, the smell of roasted turkey wafting through the crisp autumn air. But something felt different this year, heavier. I walked in with a carefully chosen gift, a brand new top-of-the-line laptop from my dad, something he had casually mentioned wanting months ago. If I was already sending money, at least I could decide how some of it was spent. Happy Thanksgiving, I greeted, placing the wrapped box on the kitchen counter. My mother barely glanced at it. Oh, you're finally here, she said, turning back to stir the mashed potatoes. I blinked. No hug, no smile, just indifference. At the dining table, my younger brother Colin sat with a drink in hand, watching me with an unreadable expression. Dad, carving the turkey, barely looked up. The air felt off. Dinner started quietly, the usual small talk feeling forced. Then, as the plates emptied and the wine flowed, the tension snapped. You know, Dad started, setting down his fork. We've been meaning to talk to you about something important. Mom dabbed her lips with a napkin and sighed. Nathan, your father and I have been struggling, and we're grateful for everything you do, but we need more. I stiffened. More. Dad leaned forward, elbows on the table. $8,000 a month. I let out a breathy laugh, thinking it was a joke. Their faces told me otherwise. You can afford it, Colin chimed in. You make plenty. Meanwhile, we're here barely scraping by. I set my fork down. I've been sending you $4,000 a month for 2 years. That's almost $100 grand. I glanced at my dad. Where is it all going? Dad scoffed. Bills, repairs, expenses, and Colin's divorce. I shot back. Silence. My brother shifted uncomfortably. Mom's voice turned sharp. It's not your place to ask how we use it. I inhaled deeply, keeping my voice steady. No, I think it is. Dad's expression darkened. Are you seriously going to sit here on Thanksgiving and act like we're using you? I met his stare. Aren't you? The room fell deathly silent. Then Dad pushed back his chair. If you're going to be ungrateful, then don't bother coming here at all. Mom's lips pressed together. Colin folded his arms. The message was clear. I stood. Okay. Grabbing my coat, I turned toward the door, my heart pounding. I had walked in thinking I was part of this family, but I was only a bank account to them. And tonight, that account had officially closed. Days after Thanksgiving, the unease in my chest hadn't faded. The demand for more money wasn't what unsettled me. It was the certainty in their voices, the way they acted as if I owed them. Something wasn't right. I logged into my bank account and scrolled through the payments I had made over the past 2 years. Every transaction, every wire transfer, nearly $100,000, and yet my parents had claimed they were still struggling. I needed answers. So I called an old neighbor, Mrs. Riley, who had always been nosy enough to know everything. "Oh, Nathan," she said warmly. "How are you, dear?" "I'm good, Mrs. Riley. Listen, I wanted to ask, how are my parents doing? Financially, I mean. They told me things are rough." There was a pause, then a dry chuckle. "Rough? Honey, your father just bought a brand new SUV last month. And Colin, he's been throwing money around like he won the lottery." I clenched my jaw. "Are you sure?" "Absolutely. I saw the car myself." And I overheard Colin at the bar bragging about how his generous brother took care of his divorce debts. Such a shame, really. The call ended, but the anger stayed. I sat in silence, gripping my phone, my stomach twisting. They hadn't needed my help. They had used me. I called my mother, my voice dangerously calm. "Tell me the truth. Did you use my money to bail Colin out?" A long silence. Then she sighed. "Nathan, you don't understand." "I understand perfectly." I cut in. "I was never helping you. I was just a paycheck." Her voice sharpened. "After everything we'd done for you." I hung up. For the first time in 2 years, I finally saw my family for what they truly were, and I was done playing their fool. I didn't send another dollar. At first, there was silence, an eerie, deceptive calm. Then came the messages. My mother's guilt-ridden texts, long paragraphs about how family sticks together and how you don't turn your back on blood. My father's were colder, disguised as disappointed lectures. "We raised you better than this, Nathan. You don't abandon your family when they need you." And Colin, he was more direct. "You're a selfish bastard, Nate. After everything we'd done for you." I sat at my desk, staring at the glowing screen of my phone. Their words had always carried weight, but this time, they didn't sink in. Instead, they rolled off like rain on glass. I typed a single response. "I'm done." Then I blocked their numbers. The moment my thumb pressed that final button, a strange sensation swept over me, not guilt, but relief. No more endless demands. No more giving until I had nothing left. Still, the habit of obligation was hard to break. The first week felt unnatural. I kept expecting my phone to buzz, to hear my mother's pleading voice or my father's sharp reprimands. But silence stretched on, unfamiliar yet strangely peaceful. Funny how money makes people forget who had their back first. Some of us are struggling while others take vacations. I laughed. It was bitter, but it was a laugh nonetheless. So I did just that. I booked a vacation, a week in Miami, ocean views, good food, and not a single reminder of home. As I lay on a lounge chair, the sound of waves in the distance and the warmth of the sun on my skin, I realized something. I wasn't their provider anymore. I wasn't their walking bank account. I was Nathan, just Nathan. And for the first time in years, that was enough. 6 months passed. 6 months of silence, of rediscovering what life felt like without a weight on my shoulders. Then, on a quiet Sunday morning, my phone buzzed with a number I hadn't seen in months. My father. I stared at the screen, my stomach tightening. Against my better judgment, I answered, "Hello." My voice was steady, unreadable. "Nathan." He exhaled heavily, as if the act of speaking to me was a burden. Listen, I know things got out of hand. Your mother, she misses you." I waited, saying nothing. He wasn't calling because he missed me. He wasn't calling because he regretted what they had done. I was thinking, he continued, his voice measured. Maybe we can put all that behind us, start fresh. There it was, the unspoken expectation, a clean slate, a return to normal, where normal meant I would resume my role as the dutiful son, the financial lifeline. "I don't think that's a good idea," I said simply. "Nathan," he sighed, his patience thinning, "you're being stubborn. We're still your family. You can't cut us off forever." I clenched my jaw. "You already did that when you told me I wasn't welcome anymore." Silence. Then a calculated shift. "Listen, your mother's not well. She's been stressed, sick even. You know how much she worries. Maybe if you came back, helped out a little?" No. The word came out sharper than I intended, but I didn't take it back. "If she's sick, she should see a doctor, not me." A pause. Then his voice hardened. "You're really doing this, after everything?" "Yes." Another heavy silence, and then without a goodbye, he hung up. I exhaled slowly, setting the phone down. No anger, no sadness, just finality. That was it. The last attempt, the last string connecting us. And as I looked out my apartment window, watching the sun rise over a city that now felt mine, I realized something. I hadn't lost a family. I had freed myself from one. And for the first time in my life, I felt whole. Friends, what do you think of this story? Write your opinion in the comments. Would you like more stories? Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell button so you don't miss any videos. See you tomorrow.